Another week, another video. I'm a little bit behind this week, but always like to start things off of, if it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. If you come back for more, welcome back. I decided to make this week's video more so about making videos because in per fashion of this channel, I've probably spent a little bit too much time and money on cameras over the past year. And, I think that's changed a lot of how I look at the equipment that I utilize, and it's definitely improved a lot of the things that I've focused on, and it's been nice because I've been fine-tuning a lot of my skills. But, however, I have made some changes over the course of the last week because as I've been doing this channel, and especially this one video per week challenge, I've found that I wanted to reorient some of my equipment to be more reflective of what I'm doing. And in the past, I had primarily always focused on my photography skills and photo work because of the fact that that's everything I've been doing. But especially with this challenge for myself and stepping much more into content creation, video has become so much more of my day-to-day in the work that I'm doing, clearly in my free time because I do this as a hobby. But I noticed that especially when I stepped into the world of Fujifilm, I was focused on photography. And that's why when the first camera I picked up from Fujifilm was the X-T50, it was a very good entry to the Fujifilm ecosystem. And I was absolutely blown away by that camera, especially with a crop sensor that was a 40 megapixel sensor. It was an amazing camera for what my needs were at the time, but as I've continued this journey of content creation and making more videos, it's been less used than I typically, or more so than I anticipated, because of the fact that it had a tilt screen and it didn't have a fully articulating screen. And that's why when I picked up my XH2, not the XH2S, because I was still more photo-centric overall, I have been using my XH2 as my main video camera. However, I've found that despite buying more video-centric cameras like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or the DJI Action 5, which I still need to do a full breakdown of, they're great on-the-go cameras, but not always what I'm looking for when it comes to having interchangeable lenses or doing these talking heads where I want especially a little bit more depth of field or bokeh from a camera perspective. And the X-T50 just wasn't the video camera that I wanted. And so this past weekend, I decided to trade up or trade in some of my cameras because of the fact that I wanted something that was more video centric. And when I sold my ZV-E10 a while back, that was my first video camera, but I ended up upgrading to the XH2. And I love the XH2, but it's definitely a very large camera compared to even the X-T50. But with the X-T50, I had wanted something more portable initially, but I also had the Ricoh GR3X, which is a great portable camera. This thing, I'll never say anything bad about this camera outside of its video capabilities. So I decided to actually sell two of my cameras, which was my X100T, which I just didn't use that much because of the fact that I had the Ricoh and the X-T50, but I wasn't using my X-T50 as much because of doing so many more of these talking head style videos. And even though that offered the 6.2K, it was a great camera, but it wasn't good for any sort of talking heads or being able to film myself from afar. So I made a very unexpected change because I went to my more local camera store, which is Cardinal Camera, KOP. If you know Cardinal Camera, Kurt's the man, Chad and KOP, you're the man as well. I was fully planning to go in and pick up the XS20 for a more portable video camera, but when I showed up, they had something that I was not expecting. And that's because even though I reviewed it before even having it a while back and just kind of doing the first thoughts video, the XM5 was just a very portable, video-friendly camera. And I haven't been able to find that anywhere, and I've been trying not to look as much as I did in the past because I was very content with my setup, but wanting to do more video, like I said, I was looking at the XS20 because it was very similar to a miniature XH2S to an extent, minus the second card slot. But when I walked in, I was very, very surprised that they actually had an XM5. And that's what this video today is about, because of the fact that while it doesn't have the IBIS like the X-T50 or my XH2, this camera definitely surprised me, because I found that from having a more portable camera to take on the go and being fully immersed in the Fujifilm ecosystem, it gives me a lot of different lens options, and I've already bought some accessories for this. In all honesty, the main one is just the grip, because this small rig grip makes it just a little bit better in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't have a huge hand grip as is, but it's still extremely portable. I mean, if you compare this to even the Ricoh GR3 or 3X, which are the same size, this thing's tiny. And it's not as small, but the 6.2K open gate, the video recording on this has been awesome. And for the 26.1 megapixel sensor this has, granted it's not the same 40 that I have on the XH2 or on the XT50, I just wanted something a little bit more portable and that I would be able to do, you know, more talking head style videos, because I never get to show off my XH2 because of the fact that it's always what I'm using as my primary video camera. So having this articulating screen is absolutely huge for me, and having it in such a small package means that I can still get almost the same video quality that I have on the XH2 while not having to carry everything and anything from my gear setup. And because of the fact that I use the DJI Mic Mini, this setup with this camera is just beyond spot on. It still has, you know, what I was very familiar with, the Fujifilm film simulation dial, which that's not a huge make or break for me, because of the fact that now I use my own custom recipes or just adaptations of other custom film recipes that you can find on, you know, Fuji X Weekly or, you know, other types of applications, Facebook groups, Reddit. But I was very, very surprised with this camera, and I decided that when I was starting to use it, you know, this past weekend, as I mentioned on my last video, was the Super Bowl, and go Birds. That was a huge, huge win for Philadelphia. And so because I had this for the first time, I decided to take it out, and I was using a slight tweak on classic Cuban negative for pretty much the entire night. And so wanted to clearly show off some of the photos that I took. I'm not gonna add any videos other than, you know, just this video, but this is not filmed on the XM5 clearly because it's in my hand right here. But I was very, very surprised with the performance of this camera. Even in low light, it's really awesome. I'm excited to test this out. Excuse me. See what I can do with this camera, because now that I have more video options, and especially in this more compact body, I have it paired right now with the XF 27mm. All of the photos that I had this past weekend, of course I have it on my XE3, but I did use the 23mm. This is probably one of my favorite all-time lenses, and the F2 makes it just, you know, it's easier for low light photos. So using this lens combo with this camera, I was blown away by it. And even in the low light, because we were out, you know, in Broad Street in Philadelphia, and I'm sure anybody who's been on social media has seen those videos, even in the low light, this thing performed very, very well. And I'm excited to start using this more for the video content on my channel, because I do like to have the XH2 for more of like my professional setup, especially if I'm doing any client work, anything like that. But having an option like the XM5 where I can take this literally anywhere, I can throw it in any sort of fanny pack or bag, or even in a sweatshirt. It's not, people say it's pocketable. My pockets aren't that big, so I'm not gonna be carrying it in my pockets, but I'm excited to produce more content with this. So later down the line, I'll definitely do a more technical deep dive on this. But like I said, with the video specs of the 6.2K open gate, you can do the short films on it, shooting vertically and horizontally on this thing, especially on a tripod. I think it's gonna be a game changer for me as a content creator. And I would love to hear what other people have had experience with so far with the XM5. You know, what features have you found useful? What features do you not like so far? What are the pros and cons that you've found with it? Because this is still a very new camera for me, so I'm open to any suggestions. Are there any, you know, lens combos that you would say outside of the 27mm? Because it is pocketable, but at the same time, I usually have a little bit more gear on me. I even, because this was a newer lens for me, I even matched this up with my, you know, 56mm 1.2, which it's not necessarily the, you know, most pocketable or travel friendly combo, because this is a smaller camera, and you know, for heavier lenses like this, or even with my Viltrox 27mm 1.2, the images are super sharp. I love the film simulations on this camera. I love being able to just play around with the Fuji ecosystem. So give me your thoughts below. If you have any more questions, I'll be making more videos with this camera as time goes on. So just wanted to produce something short for this week because, like I said, one video a week, and I'm excited to do more with the Fujifilm XM5. And even though there have been a lot of people saying, why did Fuji make a camera like this? I fully understand why they did it, because it's a great entry-level price point and camera for getting into the Fujifilm ecosystem, but there are a lot of pro features to this camera. And while, yes, if you were doing more professional work, you'd want to put this on a gimbal because of the lack of IBIS in the camera. For talking head videos, I think this is going to be awesome and very, very travel friendly. So I've got an upcoming trip towards the end of this month, which this is outside of this and then my Action 5. Those are pretty much going to be the two cameras that I bring with me, which I think is going to be a great combo. So excited to share a video towards the end of this month, and I'll be using this for a talking head video while I'm, you know, down in the Bahamas. But like I said, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, drop them down below. If you're new here, I'd love if you'd continue to join me on this journey and hit that subscribe button. But, you know, always happy to see you all here, and talk to you in the next one. Peace.